And we're broadcasting.
I'm still casting. Yeah.
All right, you guys ready to do the countdown?
Yes.
Sure.
All right, so we're going to do countdown. All right, 3, 2, 1, record.
Got it.
All right, there we
Got
go.
it, I think. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm on.
Okay, well, we'll adjust it if not. All right, you guys ready?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go. Hey everyone, and welcome to That Pixel Life, the gaming podcast that still doesn't know what the hell Death Stranding is. Do you guys, is that an adventure game? Is it an action game? I still don't know what that game is.
I think it's a match 3 game.
It's a match 3 game.
Yeah.
Match 3 babies in a jar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I called my last Dookie bomb.
Okay. Head on over to thatpixellife.com for more from us and all the links that you may be interested in, including our Twitter page, which is at thatpixellife. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can get the video podcast, unedited versions of us recording the show each week. You can also check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/thatpixellife if you want to help out the show and get some cool bonus incentives in the process. There's all the subscription links you need there as well, including a way to subscribe to the show on iTunes and Spotify, and Google Play Music, and Stitcher, and all that fun stuff. iHeartRadio, we're everywhere. So go check that out if you are interested in any of those platforms. Also, don't forget to drop some iTunes reviews as well if you don't mind. We would greatly appreciate that. This is episode 17, and this week we'll be diving into the lawsuit surrounding Quantic Dream and how we feel that's going to affect the developer in the future. We're also going to be discussing those cool arcade one-up cabinets that are popping up and up for pre-order right now. And we're also going to talk about GameStop killing off yet another program, since they do that quite often. Games we'll be talking about are the Shadow of War, the major update they had last week. For that, we're going to talk a little bit about Injustice 2, Dungeon Battle Tactics, and some more cool stuff as well. My name is Josh Faulkner. Thank you guys once again for tuning in this week. Hope you are enjoying the show. We got Zach Anderson there. Hi, Zach.
Hi, how are you?
I'm super. How are you?
Oh, just fabulous.
You don't sound too fabulous.
I'm tired, man.
You sound sleepy.
It is 7-something on a Wednesday evening, and I feel like I could crawl under this desk, George Costanza style, and go to sleep.
Yeah. Well, it's 10:30 here, so I got you beat, man.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
He's got that youth on you, bruh.
Yeah.
He does.
So, quit your bitching, man. Quit your bitching.
I'll just be prepared if I'm a little punchy tonight. That's all.
All right. We got Shannon Moore there as well, which we missed last week. The Canon was out of commission last week. Hi, Shannon.
Hey, how you doing?
Is everything okay, man? Is everything okay?
Sometimes life gives you a bunch of lemons, and you try to make lemonade out of it, but before you're making your nice pile of lemons, life just comes back along and takes them all and puts them in a sack and beats you repetitively over the head with them. That's just kind of the week I had. So
it drinks your lemonade and spits it in your face.
Yeah.
At least it's citrus, though, so that doesn't leave bruises when you get hit with sacks of it.
No, it's different than a bag of doorknobs, but
Y'all know too much about this. I'm put off. Like, wait, what leaves a bruise? What doesn't?
You're like, wait, why
I'm gonna sign on and sign off.
Yeah.
I feel there was a joke that I should have understood.
On a positive note, I don't have scurvy, so
Awesome. Well, we're glad you're here this week, man. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, dude, I'm glad to be here. I needed this, so thanks for having me on.
Your therapy for the week?
Yes, I need it. It's a high point in a sea of poo poo.
Oh, gotcha. And hi, Alaina.
Hey. All right, I'm done now. I don't want any bruises. Wait, they don't leave bruises, yeah?
Lemons don't.
Oh God, I'm gonna take notes on what leaves bruises and what doesn't, just for the future.
Small fruits. Just
small fruits. I'll keep that in mind for when I start up with the mafia later.
There you go.
Oh yeah, it's all thanks to you.
What's
up, guys?
Oh man,
I'm all right. I'm trying to keep cool in this weather, man. It's just wrecking my shit. I'm tired and it's hot, and our AC's broken at work, so I'm even more agitated about it than usual. Like, at least I had work, you know what I mean, to go and just kind of veg out. But nope. But it's good. It's a sauna. I'm making the best of it. I'm losing weight. It's a sauna. It's like cool. It's hot.
Yeah,
All
dude,
right.
it's Bikram. It's Bikram workout. You know, like you just sit there and sit in your sweat, and you just feel the weight drip off.
Yeah,
you, right?
and just pretend I'm. Yeah, just pretend I'm Zen. We can fake it until you make it, right? Like fuck.
Yeah.
All right, so that's us. That's that Pixel Life. So that's what you got.
With bruises and all.
Yeah, bruises and all. So before we get started, I do want to mention one more time that we do have a Facebook group now, so you guys can follow us on Facebook. Go over that group and chat with us. It seems like it's much more active than our Twitter activity is right now. So we're having some conversations there. You can go to thatpixellife.com. Just click the community button at the top. It'll take you right to it too. So if you have not joined that, please do, and spread it to your friends as well. Get them on board. Let's talk games. Good stuff. All right, so we're just going to hop right into it, guys. So let's get to our industry buzz section this week. And so I wanted to talk about this because I'm actually a little excited for this, but I'm also a little concerned. So I want to see what you guys think as well. There's a company that cropped up, and their name is Arcade 1UP. And I think they kind of emerged from the darkness during E3, if I'm not mistaken. And they're a company that promises to deliver the arcade experience at home for anyone who's wanted to own an arcade cabinet. So these things are launching in September. They created home arcade cabinets for multiple games, including one for Centipede, Space Invaders, Street Fighter 2. There's a couple more out there as well. They're about 25% smaller than a modern normal arcade machine, or not modern, but an older arcade machine. They modified them a bit to make them more modern with like LCD panels and stuff like that that are flat and not curved. And they made them only 60 pounds, and they're significantly cheaper than an arcade machine. If you want to get a vintage arcade machine, you're going to be dropping thousands of dollars for that thing, and that's if it's in good shape.
Well, that's also if it's bad shape. It's just how many thousands of dollars.
Yeah. There is a furniture company that's near my house that actually sells arcade cabinets, like brand new, and they're just kind of like those all-in-one one that has like 100 games on it or whatever.
Yeah, the main cabinets or whatever there.
Yeah, and they're like $3,000. Like it's insane.
Jesus.
Yeah, and that's just
off that.
That's a little much. That's. I mean, if you're getting a cabinet with an LCD monitor, nothing should be that expensive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So these cabinets are launching in September. The price point was $399. Now they're going to be $299. Everyone dropped the price $100, and there's more variations of these on the way. Now, I'm not sure what the build quality is like. I'm not sure how cheap the parts are. I don't know if this thing is going to really give you the authentic arcade feeling or not. But how do you guys feel about these things? Do you think these things could be big if they make them right? And is that price point right?
You know the phrase, if it's too good to be true, it usually is. That price point makes me nervous. That is too good to be true. Yes.
Yeah, yes. Like it's made out of particle board or something.
I was looking at the website. It looks so cool, man, but it just looks too good to be true. It really does.
So the thing about this that people need to understand, when Josh says they're smaller than a standard cabinet, this thing is 45 inches tall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they recommend you like sit with a stool on it.
Yeah, you're not standing and playing that.
I am. Right? I'm 5'2", so that's an Alaina size. Like it's perfect for me, man. Like you can buy a little booster seat or whatever it is to put underneath the actual cabinet, and I'll never have to buy that. So I'm saving money right out the gate just by being a shorty. Like it's awesome. But
it's also one of those things where I think it becomes an impossible cabinet to play two players on. Like
too small.
You're already that much closer to someone anyway, especially like in a fighting game or something of that nature. And then now you're trying to sit next to each other. Like that just physically, like for people, this just won't happen. But I think it's a great product to introduce to like 10-year-olds. Like people that are small. I think it's a good product for them. And $299, it's like it's also $299 with an awful small 17 LCD monitor, 17-inch LCD monitor that is a horrible quality because look at the graphics they need to run on it. It's like they're trying to
HDR on that thing.
Yeah, it can be the bottom of the barrel LCD screen because they need to show Joust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's a little bit one of those, like, in my head, I want it to be this like awesome build experience, blah blah blah. But I have a feeling these things will probably be pretty cheap feeling once you get your hands on them.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, manufacturing something like this should be significantly cheaper than it is. You know, I know most arcade cabinets are vintage and they're expensive because they're old and it's hard to get parts for them and so, and you usually have to hire someone to fix it unless you're really savvy with that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I mean, to have a wooden cabinet and an LCD screen and a little box behind it that fucking emulates games. That just seems like that. I mean, you could do that with this price point and do it right. So I'm kind of hoping that's what this is because I've always wanted an arcade machine in my home. Like that was always been like a bucket list of mine. And I've always kind of been looking around at like auctions and stuff because there'll be places that close down and they'll have, some kind of arcade machine and they'll sell it for like $500. And I would love to jump on something like that, especially if it was like a beat 'em up or Tekken or something like that I really like. But then you don't know if you have to put a bunch of money into fixing the thing too, because if a part goes out, it's not cheap to find the right parts to fix that stuff.
See, $299 is that price point where if a part goes out, you say screw it and buy another one.
Yeah,
that's what I was just about to say, right?
Yeah, like, you're not paying to fix this thing. You just throw it in the trash and go get another one when it breaks.
I'm just surprised it's taken this long for someone to try something like this. Out of all these years, you know what I mean? I'm not expecting like bars to pick these up and buy them or anything. I think it'd be cool. Yeah, I mean,
fuck, they should.
and they do have, like Alaina said, they do have the booster thing that you put underneath it. You have to spend like an extra $100 for it, I think, though, and it makes it as tall as an arcade cabinet. But I don't know.
Sorry, but it's still like a good 12, like a good foot, like shorter in width too. Like so, I mean, it's narrower. So I mean, even if you do get that booster where you're gonna stick it up higher, now you have something that's more easily more easily to tip over. Yeah. You also, like, I mean, if you put it in a bar, you're gonna get some drunk idiot who's probably just gonna get super overzealous and smash the thing, and then you're out like $300. I mean, granted, yeah, I mean, like they're disposable. Like, I mean, they're making them to be disposable, but still, I mean, $300 every time somebody gets careless and destroys it. I mean, that's just
that's true.
There's a lot that goes into it too. Also with the games, like, I was looking at the cabinets that they have, and it's like the Street Fighter cabinet. It has Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, and Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Like, how many different Street Fighters do you want to put in one cabinet? Give me some variety. Like, right? I don't,
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I would be, I mean, if they had like Marvel versus Capcom 2 on like a cabinet, I would probably pull the trigger on that thing so fast.
Well, there's a rumor that they do. There's a picture from E3 where they had a bunch of unannounced cabinets that they haven't announced yet, and they had like tarps over them. So, and that was the only picture they had, and one of them had a Marvel vs. Capcom logo at the bottom that you can. There's a couple of them that had Midway logos, which I'm wondering if they're Mortal Kombat. Yeah. So that might happen.
I would be legitimately impressed and surprised if Marvel vs. Capcom of any sort ever sees the light of day again, just because Marvel's now owned by Disney. They own all that property. There's all these rules Disney puts in place in regards to use of your characters or their characters and their properties. And I mean, everything I read was after the creation of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Infinite. That after Infinite came out, just this last year, like Capcom has severed all ties with Marvel and Disney. That was such an awful experience. Yeah, like I've heard it went like real bad.
I don't even think that game's at Evo this year.
No, it's not, because Capcom has essentially said they're never supporting it. So
yeah, wow, that's sad. But I mean, they could have just made one for themselves too, and they may not be actually marketing it, and maybe that was there. I don't know, but it did. There was like a little Marvel vs. Capcom logo on it. But yeah, Mortal Kombat.
I'd want that. Like, pro Marvel vs. Capcom, but yeah, it was just.
For me, there's a Final Fight cabinet. It has Final Fight, it has Ghouls and Ghosts, and it has a couple other games on it. Most of these cabinets have 3 or 4 games on them, and I want the Final Fight one because the beat 'em up games, arcade games, are actually the ones that I like to replay quite often. That's the one I want, and that one's not available for pre-order. So I'm kind of waiting. So I guess that one got delayed. So I want these to come out. I want to see what the reviews are like for them and how people feel about them. And then hopefully, if they're in high quality, once they drop that Final Fight cabinet, I will totally buy one. I am on board as long as they review well.
That's something I was noticing with these cabinets is they almost segregated the games by genre, and I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot by doing that because, like Shannon said, there's one cabinet that only has just Street Fighter and iterations of Street Fighter on it, and I'm sitting here like, I get it if I'm a Street Fighter super fan, but I also want some, just like he said, some variety. So it does seem like they're kind of based on genre, and I'm like, yo, I'm buying this for variety, or at least me personally. If I do take the plunge and buy this once I get my own place, which, oh my god, that sounds so amazing, just like pipe dream. I don't know if I'll take the plunge as quickly because it didn't kind of meet my standards when it comes to game selection.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing about these that is legitimately, if the build, this is all assuming good build quality. If the build quality is good, the exciting thing about this is it's going in weeks, in days. This thing will be hacked to be playing multiple games, in loading its own firmware, and you can put on your own stuff. It's like if it's a cabinet that's hackable in any way, this becomes a legitimate, exciting product.
Yeah, and see, they showed a video of like how to put the thing together. It looks pretty easy to put together, but there's a little box that's attached to the back of the LCD screen, and that's apparently where the game and then the programs and stuff are stored. And then there's just a little ribbon that is attached to where the whole control panel, the whole arcade stick is going to. You just plug it right into the bottom of the monitor. So it's not like there's a lot of interchangeable parts here. But yeah, if they can find a way to somehow plug a USB cable into that thing or something,
flash it, something. Yeah,
I give them a week and it'll be hacked. Absolutely. But I don't think you can even plug any sort of computer cable or something into this unless they find something that will go into that ribbon where the arcade cabinet, the arcade controls go into. But and yeah,
if you involve soldering, then all of a sudden the people that will actually hack your thing go way down.
Yeah.
Too much work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I hope these things are successful because I would love to have something like this, even though it is smaller. I think it's probably the closest I'll ever get to owning a real arcade cabinet because I'm not dropping thousands of dollars for something like that.
For real.
But this might fit the bill, and I'm kind of excited for it. So we'll see what happens. Maybe if they're successful, they'll release a lot more games, and there'll be more variety out there. I would love to have a Tekken or something like that or a Soul Calibur would be awesome.
Oh, yes.
I know that Namco, not Namco, I'm sorry, Capcom seems to be on board with these the most. So that, whatever is in their catalog is most likely going to happen. But
I want a Simpsons Ninja Turtle X-Men cabinet.
That's what I'm saying. I want beat 'em ups like that. Those are the games that I always like to play.
Classics.
Yeah,
I
Simpsons
feel
would be great.
I feel like a fake gamer. I was going through these and I was like, what is Missile Command? What is Millipede? What is Lunar Lander? And I'm just sitting here like, was I born yet? And I'm like, cool, I needed this. I needed to feel young for a sec.
The cool thing is that those games that use the roller ball thing, they actually have the ball on there too. It's not just fake arcade.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Well, that makes more sense as to why they kind of separated the games.
And I could see it being successful if they had like a Golden Tee machine, because people like their Golden Tee, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure someone would buy that.
Especially if especially if Golden Tee can get on a network, that would be.
Yeah, if you can link them together.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty sweet.
You can like play your practice rounds at home before you go to the bar.
So Shannon, I haven't heard a lot from you. Are you interested in something like this? If are you like me? If it reviews well, is this something you would consider buying?
Yeah, the problem is that there's, like, looking at the specs on some of these cabinets, there's games that I want and they're on different cabinets. So I would really like to see maybe a way for them to let you kind of do things a la carte. Like, I don't really care about having a authentic banner on the top for one of the games or anything like that. Just
like the marquee at the top, you mean?
Yeah, because you can go out and you can buy those on Amazon, or you can find them on eBay for relatively cheap for the ones that you want. Just let me get the guts, and I'll do the rest of the designing at my house. Because I like I like Gauntlet, and I understand, why that's on the console. It is because it's, a more than 2-player adventure, so you have to have the extra joystick. But I don't really care about Joust or Rampage, and I didn't really the trackball just seems too disastrous for me to want to keep that clean.
Yeah.
I just know I got really sweaty palms, and it tends to gum up like things like trackballs and things like that. So
That is so gross.
it's a peek behind the curtain, if you will.
Mm-hmm,
I lifted the kimono a little bit.
Put it back in.
Are you serious? I've never heard that phrase before. I love it. Yes.
But I mean, like Final Fight is interesting to me, but 1944 and Strider is not really anything that I want on that
I love those. I love both of those games a lot, and I like how the one machine I want actually has the shoot 'em up in it.
Yeah, it has
awesome.
1944 and Strider on it with Final Fight, and
Strider's a blast. Yeah, I don't care about the like super classic arcade games here, like the Space Invaders and stuff. Like those games aren't fun to me anymore.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know, man.
Too much?
They're just too simple to me, man. Just score chasers. Like I like Final Fight. I like beat 'em ups. Like that's what I want. So the Final Fight arcade cabinet's the one I want here. But
I want like an Aliens versus Predator cabinet too.
Yeah,
like, that game was pretty fun.
That was a sweet
Dungeons
game.
and Dragons. That was a sweet one too.
Oh yeah, that one's hella good.
A Gauntlet Legends one would be really cool. I'd be all over that. That game was great. I don't know. I mean, there's tons of them that I would like, but we'll see what happens with these. They drop next month. Hopefully they'll some IGN or something will get some early cabinets and they'll review them and we'll get a good idea of whether or not these things are worth a pre-order or not. But I do like the idea of them and I hope they are successful.
Same.
All right, so next up, now this was kind of a bummer story, but I thought it was very much worth talking about. So recently, Detroit Become Human and Heavy Rain's developer Quantic Dream was hit with a lawsuit that was regarding harassment in the workplace and of all different types. David Cage himself claimed that the allegations were crazy, but the company actually lost this lawsuit against them recently. The whole story seems to be pretty crazy. Now, Zach, you seem to be the one that really dug into this the most. So do you kind of want to explain to us what happened here?
Well, so what happened is an employee had filed a lawsuit against Quantic Dreams about harassment.
Do we know if it was male or female?
The records that I was reading didn't say.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. And regardless, this person was uncomfortable in the workplace, and during the trial, that you can go find the details and the pictures themselves. It came to light that in the office there were multiple times of like blatant sexual harassment, as far as dressing people up in sexual costumes, kind of to be jeered or leered at in the office. A lot
of photoshopping is what I saw.
Yeah. That's the thing is like they would go to like, they would have a company event and someone shows up in an outfit and the next thing you know, that outfit's photoshopped and things are getting posted in the office that are just very highly inappropriate. And it happened on racial levels. It happened on multiple things. And this person finally had enough, filed lawsuit. During all the fact finding, came to light all this happened. And Quantic Dreams lost in a pretty major way. Now they've come out and started to threaten lawsuit themselves against French media for slander, essentially.
Yeah, I saw that.
But it's like also like, guys, you lost. So I don't kind of what they're saying is true, right? But I don't know. I don't really know that deep into that. But it's one of those things. So you got to wonder where a company and also it didn't help that David Cage's quote of like, just play the games I've made and you'll see I'm not racist. It's like,
oh, dude, that quote was so tone deaf. It was rough.
And it totally came out as like no, I totally know black people. Like defensive racism,
Like, I've worked with somebody in the LGBT community. I can't be homophobic. And it's like, that's not how that works. That's not how that works.
But, and so it came out incredibly just bad across the board. And it makes you kind of reassess it makes me anyway, reassess, like, is this a company I wish to continue supporting? If this is the workplace they're putting their employees through? I don't necessarily know. It comes across as very hypocritical when you play games like Detroit. I thought it was just a story worth discussing because it doesn't happen too often where an event shapes how you think about a company on a whole versus just their product. And maybe it's just me. Maybe that isn't how you guys see this, but I can't not think of these things when making purchasing decisions, if that makes sense.
I definitely don't want to spend money to support someone that are, making their employees' lives a living hell. And not to say that it was a living hell, but I mean, just knowing that people were putting their blood, sweat, and tears into making this game, but they're also being treated like shit in the same in the same process, like that definitely makes me a little leery about supporting the company, because I mean that's what you're doing. You're buying the game unless you buy it used. You're giving them money. You're supporting them.
Well, and it sounded like it more to this story was more that like it was just kind of a bullying atmosphere. Like people were psychologically bullying people on the regular basis through photos and harassing notes and all this sort of thing. And so it was just kind of that bully mentality that it existed within the.
It seemed like shit that you would do with a group of your friends that are okay with it.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that too, because I guarantee when they started this company, I think it was in like back in 1997 or so, like late 90s, they wanted a lax work environment. They were sick of like maybe the rigidity of their previous work environments. And it's a gaming company, you know what I mean? They make video games. So what do they want it to be? They want it to be chill and friendly. And I think somewhere that intention got warped or became something kind of gross, because I was reading that this isn't actually the first time or the second time this has happened. It's the third time this has happened. And
but it's the first one they lost. I think.
Yes, it was. One person dropped, and the other person was, the court didn't rule in their favor, and they actually filed for an appeal. So, look, man, if they're willing to file for an appeal, that's kind of like if they're willing to put that much time and energy on the line, that kind of makes me think that this isn't based on nothing. And if you think about it, back in when what was that Ellen Page game? Beyond Two Souls.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was back in late 2013, early 2014. She actually was considered suing as well. And I did a little bit of research into that. And it was basically because they created a nude model for her character, the protagonist, Jodie.
Right. I forgot about that story.
People figured out this debug mode, and they actually got access to what isn't in reality Ellen Page's real nude body, but it's, you know what I mean? It's close enough to where it's completely inappropriate. People shouldn't have access to that. And essentially, Page and her lawyers were looking for a lawsuit, and it kind of got caught in limbo between whether it would be Quantic or whether it would be Sony, and then it eventually came to nothing. But that's not good. Like. That makes me feel weird, And I'm curious, Zach, for you, because you're in the middle of playing Detroit. How do you feel playing that game? Have you played it at all since you've read about this, or?
No, I really haven't. It was kind of trending that way for me anyway. Like it just was a game.
I see.
It wasn't a game I was that into to begin with, and then I'll be totally honest though. It made me go, I probably don't really need to see the end of this. Like I had a mindset of at least finishing the game just to see where they go through all this, but I kind of don't want to really care about the story they want to tell me anymore. It's like, okay, you were so over the top and juvenile with your treatment of all these issues to begin with, and then now you're coming at me with just like this cloak of hypocrisy around yourself. It's like I'm okay.
It's like it kind of makes sense now. Playing that game, how they just kind of they treat these issues like they're so basic, and they kind of go over them in a cliche way. I mean, it's kind of makes sense that these guys are just immature and don't put a lot of thought in what they're doing. But I mean, I saw some of these pictures, and like one of them was they took like a 600-pound fat guy with like whipped cream on his junk, and then like photoshopped one of their coworkers' heads on it. One of them had like a giant dildo in it, and it just seems like something you would do to your buddy, and you would laugh about it, as a joke, but not in the workplace at all. Like I would never think of doing anything like that at work.
So I was hearing that there's over 600 of these images, and that I was only able to see a couple. They haven't
Same
released
here.
all of them to the public. Obviously, I would hope that they wouldn't. But
Yeah,
to hear that it was,
seriously.
oh, dude, what I saw, I was pretty like miffed and a little bit disgusted.
Mm,
And again, if these were things exchanged between a close group of friends, that's one thing. Not the blatantly racist shit, but like just like the guys' heads cropped on women's bodies or like photoshopped on women's bodies. That's, I guess, in bad taste, but if that was all this was, I wouldn't be upset. It was the overt racism, the sexism, heads being photoshopped onto, Adolf Hitler. And it's like, dude, to think that there are over 600 images that they had as evidence, that's too much. I'm sorry, that's too much. And that makes me uncomfortable. Like, that's gross.
No wonder their games take so long to come out. They're too busy fucking off doing this shit.
Too much time photoshopping random photos,
and they're really bad photoshops too. I'm like, did you guys play Detroit? Like, that game is gorgeous looking. Like, I just can't believe that the artist who made that can Photoshop this fucking terribly.
It's probably MS Paint,
Yeah, MS Paint. Yeah,
but this strikes me as something that's more of an epidemic in the whole gaming industry in general. Is like you see
like a boys club kind of thing.
Not only just that, but like you see this rampant disregard for people's feelings and ideas and respect for their personal space, and it starts with the chat in the games, the harassment in the games, and these people, they grew up in the gaming industry, in the gaming environment, and they followed that mentality and that structure and brought it over into the workplace dynamic. And I think that kind of tainted, I think this is a more problematic a more problematic symptom that happens in more companies than the light is actually being shown on. So I mean, I think it's something that's far more I think the culture has created the environment, it's a symptom of the environment, like of everything that these people have grown up in. And I think it needs to change. I think people need to, kind of, I don't know. It's just, it's so much more than just on that one company's level. It's like a whole industry problem that we're still trying to tackle and solve, and nobody really has a concrete way to do it, or a concrete way to change this behavior. I think this lawsuit hopefully will be the starting point for that.
It seems to be Sony companies too, because this happened with Naughty Dog not too long ago too. Like,
that hit
was
hard.
Yeah, it was like a kind of a smaller kind of thing that was sort of swept under the rug, but there was a couple sexual harassment allegations out of that company too.
That's so what Shannon was saying, I completely agree with, and I think this is going to spark a domino effect in the industry. I'm kind of secretly hoping, just because what Shannon said is so accurate, and that level of toxicity is so rampant in the industry, and even in just the gaming community in general across the board. And I want this to kind of be similar to the whole Harvey Weinstein, like Hollywood Me Too movement, where everybody's like, you know what? No, somebody came out and told their story, and look, they actually won. Something's happening. I can stand up to, I can say something. I have power. I'm not as weak as I think I am. And, I really hope that happens, because what's going to happen at that point is things are going to start to change and hopefully improve. You know what I mean? And I don't want to create a culture of fear. I want people to be, to feel free to say what they want to say, how they want to say it, but only to a certain point. Once you're bordering into racism and sexism and hate speech, you need to calm the fuck down.
Well, especially after people have said multiple times to stop.
Yeah.
Like, that was the other side of this, is this wasn't a magical lawsuit that existed. The lawsuit existed because she went to multiple superiors on multiple occasions, or he, whichever, and went to multiple superiors multiple occasions, and every time nothing happened. If anything, things got worse. And so that's why the lawsuit eventually came to be. And I think, to Alaina's point, I think, it's a little different than a Harvey Weinstein, because they weren't directly
yes, it's not the same. People. It's not the same for sure.
But it's also one of those things where I think it's going to be a big enough ripple that larger companies like this will start to pay attention. And maybe that's part of the issue is Quantic Dream was an incredibly small team for an incredibly long time until they had to make this game. And so you bring on a bunch of staff to do it, and these people aren't in on all your in jokes. They don't know what's funny and what's not. They just started working Tuesday. I don't know you, you know, and so these guys are still doing their old boys club, you know, tactics and jokes and antics or whatever, and without the self-awareness that all these people are looking at them.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. And so it's an awkward position, I think, for the entire industry to be in, to realize that this is still such a issue. Even to the creators of the games. Like, everyone talks about how toxic the forums are, or like voice chat when you're playing a game, and you know, so on and so forth. We all know those issues, but it's interesting to consider where those issues might come from the developers of the games themselves. And yeah. So
do you guys think that Sony will respond to this in any way, shape, or form? Do you think Sony will not fund their next game? Do you think Sony will cut ties with them? Do you think Sony will do anything?
I think go ahead. I'm curious.
I was gonna say, I think personally, Sony's gonna look at their bank account and they're gonna be like,
like Fortnite.
Let me count my money bucks. Let me count my money bucks.
Here, like we're not going to give you as much, and we probably might not make it as vocal about us developing this game. But you know, I don't think Sony's gonna back off of supporting the next game that they develop.
They're going to get demoted to an indie B roll at E3 now.
I think they're going to issue a vague statement, and that'll be that. I think they'll issue a vague statement about inclusivity and comfort and all this jazz, and that will be that. I don't think it's going to be anything more.
Absolutely agree. The next Quantic Dream game, if they're to keep to their schedule, wouldn't be out until 2022 at the earliest. So if I'm Sony, I can bet that everyone's going to forget about this by then.
Just like Fortnite. I mean, look how big that was, and everyone forgot about it. And now there's no more apologies out of them anymore. You know,
they'll be like, "Hey guys, we screwed. We know one of our developers screwed up, but this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna come out with a Detroit Become Human skinned PlayStation 4 with the game, and we'll sell it for 25% lower than what we normally sell a PlayStation 4."
Right.
Yep.
the start button's the little glowing disc on the side of the
you guys.
Yeah, it glows red when it's shutting down, white when it's in standby.
Right, we need to make this PS4.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to our last bit of news here. So GameStop's Power Up Rewards Pro Elite membership program will be going the way of the dodo starting today, August 1st. So this sort of follows the Gamers Club Unlock closing with Best Buy a couple months ago. Now, this program only existed for a year now. I mean, it's gone after a year, and this is sort of a trend for GameStop. I know they tried this with you know how they had that sort of pseudo video game rental thing that they were doing there for a little while. That's two that they're testing out, and that it just died off and it just went nowhere. No one knows why. There's a trend lately that I'm noticing where all these retailers are just killing off their like rewards programs and their loyalty programs and stuff for video games. Do you guys think this is going to continue? Do you guys think that there's a specific reason for this? Is Amazon Prime next? Like, what's going on here?
I don't know. I thought the video game rental thing that they were doing was strictly like a summer thing, just because they knew more kids were going to be out, and it might drive more video game purchases if they've had the chance to rent the games.
I was always under the impression that it was like a trial run for them to do,
maybe roll it out more like permanently.
Yeah, they didn't do it at all this summer, you know, so it must not have been successful for them.
No, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. I think that was kind of a disaster to start with, but you know, the Power Up Rewards program, I mean, there were 3 tiers of it. Did they get rid of, I didn't really read this article. Did they get rid of all 3 levels, or was it just the Elite Pro level?
Just the Pro level, the highest one.
Okay. So, I mean, I don't know. I never really used any of those benefits anyway. And I think a lot of the people who were buying the subscriptions to their rewards packages were probably parents that I believe were, they were just like, oh, I get a discount, or, my kid will get a magazine once a month, and they're not going to pay the extra, whatever it was, couple bucks to go up to that. I think it was like a $7 increase from like the standard one to like the Elite Pro.
Yeah, it was $15 for the standard Pro membership, where you get the free magazine and whatnot. I think it was 20, 25, I think, almost, maybe even almost 30 for this one for a year. And you got like 20% off on used purchases. You got more points and trade-ins. You still got the magazine. I think they had some exclusive offers here and there. It was pretty much just another higher tier of their standard Power Up Rewards membership, but they just raised the percentage rates higher.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just, maybe they just weren't seeing enough people purchasing the package to make it worthwhile. I mean, that's the only thing I can really think of. Yeah, I don't really have much to say on it. It's not a good program to begin with. The stuff that you can trade the points in for, other than the gift cards, are pretty much just crap.
Yeah, I've always just used it for gift cards. Yeah,
so I mean, other than that, I mean, I just I haven't paid for their subscription because I have so many points. I just roll the points over into the just to get the magazine. And maybe every once in a while I'll splurge on getting like the gift cards or the or using it to buy the used stuff. But I hardly ever buy used video games or any of that. It's a useless program, and maybe they see that too, or maybe they just know it's not a good program, and they'll pull it and come out with something new.
Damn, I completely disagree. I was looking at this and I was like, this is pretty sick. I mean, I'm a sucker for magazines, so maybe that's why. And I also have a tendency to buy pre-owned games, but this whole buy two, get one free, like pre-owned welcome offer is super sick. And I don't know about this point shit. I don't know how that works, but
I think they give you that with the standard one too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, if I'm not mistaken.
So do they have the, I was noticing you get free 2-day shipping if you spend over $35. And I thought that was a pretty cool deal as well. I think that was somewhat reminiscent of like, I think they're trying to do the whole Amazon thing. Maybe I'm not certain, but
yeah, to me, this was something they were trying to do to compete with Gamers Club Unlocked and Amazon Prime. But now that there's no Gamers Club Unlocked, I mean, I'm not even expecting Amazon Prime to stay for very long. I think this time next year that won't exist anymore.
So
why do you think that is?
Because why would they need to compete anymore with a program like that? There's no one to compete with.
Money bucks.
I think it's because video games as a physical property don't make much money anymore.
They don't. No.
And I think that is why you're seeing the publisher push to digital, but also you're watching physical after about 10 years of it now. You're finally seeing brick and mortar let video games go because it's a losing tide. The more and more digital sales are bigger every year. That slice of the pie gets bigger every year. And I think your brick and mortar type stores are realizing that this is it's CDs. It's a losing proposition. It's why stock them when no one buys them anymore.
And there's no danger of physical games going away like anytime soon, like for the next couple years. But they may be a little more forward thinking than they were with CDs, because I think they waited way too long to finally get rid of CDs. Maybe this is a little forward thinking. Maybe they're going to try to kind of roll them back before it gets too late and they lose too much money on inventory.
Well, look at what these retailers are already, the major retailers anyway, are already doing with Blu-ray. Like, it's happening there, where 5 years ago you probably had twice the selection in a store than you do now. Those sections are just getting smaller because it's just a losing proposition. Like, why? I mean, I understand for every Josh Faulkner in the world that wants their crisp Blu-ray, DVD or Blu-ray 4K and all that, there's 10 of me that's like 1080p streaming and I don't got to leave my house. Sure, I'll do that. Oh, and it costs the same. Sure, yeah, let me do that.
I will say to your argument that I find that I'm streaming movies much more often than I'm actually watching them in 4K.
It's just so easy. It's just so easy.
Especially because of my kid. My kid doesn't give a fuck if it's in 4K. You know, as long as he can see it, and the movies still look great in 1080p. But yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, like the inventory is getting smaller. Like my Best Buy, their video game department has shrunk quite a bit, and half of the department is toys and collectibles now. And
GameStop stores, half their store is toys and collectibles now.
Yeah, that's really the only reason I go there anymore. I'll buy like some kind of like collectible, you know, video game related memorabilia or something. Like that gets me in the store more than the actual video games do.
For sure.
Yeah, and even then, like GameStop has kind of streamlined their process to where, like, on the initial release of a video game, they only have enough games to pretty much cover their pre-orders. Like if you try to go in there on day one, like the only way you're going to get that game if you didn't pre-order it is if somebody else said, no, I don't want that copy anymore. You know, it's almost impossible to go into a store now on day one and get that game without a pre-order.
It's usually only the super big games like your Mario Karts and stuff like that where they're going to have a bunch of extra copies. Yeah, I mean, Best Buy's like that too. I mean, I went on release. There's a couple of games. I remember when Neo came out. I went on release day, like after work, and they sold out of it already because they just didn't get enough copies. You know, because they didn't think this game was going to sell that big. And I noticed that they don't put the copies out quite as often. Like it's not a big priority for them either. Because a lot of the times I have to ask for it, and someone's got to go pull it out of the back room. Like they don't even give a shit enough to get it out there on day one. You know, that happens a lot too. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just. Do you think this is just the effect of digital games starting to become more?
That's my winning theory in my mind, is that this is just a natural progression towards digital. It's happened in literally every other media. It only makes sense that it happens here too. Bandwidth is just finally catching up with other people's demands, you know, and I think you're probably one more full generation with physical media. I think like your PS5s and Xbox 2s or whatever are going to be still physical media, but I would be shocked if by the next console generation. So what are we talking? 7-8 years? Something like that. I would be shocked in 8 years if there's physical media at all for whatever is the new system. It just doesn't make it. Look at PCs. Why put a disk drive in your PC anymore? You know, if this just doesn't even make sense. You're just going to
the physical copies of PC games just have Steam codes in them. Most of them don't even have discs.
Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to think of the last time I put an actual CD in my PC, and I don't think I ever have.
Yes.
maybe.
I did it last night.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I'm taking all my Blu-rays right now, and I'm putting them into.
Doesn't count.
So you're doing it so you don't have to do it later. It's like
does not count.
At our point, man. Oh shoot.
Yeah, so I'm really curious to see. I still think Amazon Prime is next. I think not the whole Prime program, just their little video game discount. I think is next. So,
I think they can wait for Twitch Prime. They're just going to keep up with that.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you. If that benefit fell off Prime, it wouldn't shock me at all. And I think it would just speak to when that happens. You'll know that games as a selling product is officially over. That will be the sign.
That will be the moment I no longer buy physical games.
Yep.
There's no incentive for me anymore because the only thing that beat out the convenience of digital games for me was the fact that I could get them cheaper in physical form.
Yeah.
If that goes away, there's no reason for me to buy physical games anymore. And I don't need them sitting on a shelf anymore like I used to. I used to want to display everything all pretty on my shelf and make it look cool. And now I just don't care about that.
I used to be the same way. And now I realize I don't have any room for that. And it's like, oh man, digital copies are actually really, really useful for me on a personal level, because if I have all this shit in my room, I'm done. Like it's not going to work.
And also I'm not 20 fucking years old anymore. I don't want all that shit on my shelves. You know, I mean, it's like, come on. Like, I used to collect Spawn figures. I wouldn't open them and have them pinned to my wall. I was also 19, you know, like it's time. It's okay to let things go sometimes, you know?
Yeah. And one of the draws too is oh shit, where am I going with this? It just like escaped my head, the thought I had.
What the draws of like having a physical copy, or the draws of having like a digital copy, or
I don't know. It just lost my head. I just fucking lost it. I
It's
don't
gone
know.
forever.
Yeah, it's gone. It's just out there in the ether now. Sorry, thought. It's fine. Okay, let's just move on. Let's just move on.
And
Okay.
you'll shrink forever.
Let's hit our weekly consultation this week. Shannon, since you weren't here last week, man, I'm going to let you have the floor here. What have you been working on this week?
So I bought this game on the PlayStation Network called Super Dungeon Tactics, and I bought it because it kind of reminded me of a Fire Emblem. And I love the whole Fire Emblem series. So waiting for the new one to come out, I decided to buy this one. It's kind of like how do I put this? So you're a kid again, and Christmas is coming up, and you see that brand new Transformer that you really want, that Optimus Prime. Like,
is this actually in the game?
No, just saying.
Okay, I was gonna say, wow, this game sounds cool. Where's it?
Like, you want that hotness, that Transformer, that Optimus Prime, right? And like you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, and you get there Christmas morning and you open it up, and your parents got you like the GoBot, like knockoff, like jet guy, like,
it's like the Simpsons, golf game. Thing
exactly. You're just like, oh man, it's not the real thing. It's something that doesn't feel right. It's kind of the same thing. It's like it's got the same turn-based grid system where you can move your characters, and they have attack, ranged attacks or melee attacks. They all have their special attacks that power up after a certain number of turns. But it's just something just feels slower than a Fire Emblem game, if that's possible. And it also the camera doesn't do good of a job like panning around like in that 360 view. There's always probably something in the way, or if it is in the way, it doesn't do the it doesn't turn transparent, so you can kind of see through it to see where your characters are actually aiming, or where their tiles are going to line up to form an attack. It's fun, but it just doesn't scratch that itch the way that I was kind of hoping it would. I've only put maybe 2 or 3 hours into it, and it's it's something to play when I don't really want to go into Xenoblade Chronicles 2 again. But yeah, it's a game. It's good. Just
it's a game. It's
not
good.
What I want. Yeah.
So is it like not as in depth as a Fire Emblem? Is it just more of on a like a smaller scale?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've only gotten like 2 or 3 hours in. In the first couple of levels are a tutorial, and you're just kind of getting used to the controls and how the camera works. And there's a pretty substantial amount of text that you got to read through. So maybe that just kind of takes the fun out of it, because usually when I'm playing these games, it's late at night, and I'm just trying to find something to wind down to without having to read a bunch of text. But the characters seem interesting. The artwork is kind of like a cartoony, like anime style. So it's not as they look way more cartoonish than like actual people. And it's a cutesy game. It just I don't know if there's enough meat on the bone to keep me playing for a while.
Have you given up on Octopath?
I haven't touched it in a while. Xenoblade, in all honesty, Xenoblade came out with an update, and there's more rare blades. And I'm just kind of waiting for the new DLC to come out, so I can just jump back into that and get.
I love how all of us have our drug of choice. Like I can't think of what Zach's is. I don't know what Zach's is, but Josh has got Fortnite, you've got Xenoblade, I've got Overwatch, and I can't help but wonder what Zach's is. It's shaking his finger at us angrily. That's what his game is.
Yeah. No, Zach, there's a new Picross coming out for the 3DS or for the Switch, and I know Zach's gonna pull the trigger,
right?
Yeah,
Picross S2. Yeah. I'll be getting it. I was actually really bummed when I heard it wasn't a 3D one, because they're 3D Picross.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping they would port the 3D one over. Yeah. That one was really good.
Or just make 3, just Picross 3D Picross 3. Like I'm good, like just more of that, please. Or just release puzzle packs for 2. I'll buy those, like. Yeah, I'm good.
Cool. Zach, what do you got this week, man?
The only thing I've really messed with, and it's a game I played in the past, was you know what, dude, get back to me. My daughter's losing it, so I need to go. Hold on, just circle back to me. Circle back.
Okay, gotcha. Alaina, let's just go ahead and go on to you. What have you been playing this week?
So I apologize. I haven't really been playing jack shit. I have been too busy watching Overwatch. I don't know if you guys know or any of y'all out there, but the finals.
And I both actually sat down and watched a game.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about how lackluster that final was, dude. I don't even want. Dude, I sat down. I was all excited. And seriously, that thing lasted like 40 minutes.
Oh, you watched the last day, huh? You didn't watch Saturday. You watched. I'm so sorry, dude. It was a. I apologize for the swears. I'm just extra enthusiastic today, and it fucking sucked, man. It was a wild disappointment. But you know what? I gotta say, I had concerns about sandbagging, which I learned is basically when like they intentionally play at a skill level, like whether it's the player or whether it's the team intentionally play at a lower level than they can actually perform at. And I was concerned about sandbagging. And what ended up happening was the exact opposite. They just annihilated. So I don't know, who out there knows anything about Overwatch, but I'll keep it pretty simple. We've got the London Spitfire, not the favorites, but the team that we all more or less knew was going to win. They were the strong favorites. And, then we had Philadelphia Fusion, and they were a team that's kind of been middle of the pack the entire season. But yeah, it essentially ended how we kind of thought it was going to end. To be honest, I didn't expect Fusion to get this far. But one thing that I was really interested in was hearing that this aired not only on Twitch, but also on like Disney XD and ESPN 2, 3, 4, 7, and 12 or whatever. It aired on every ESPN. And I heard there was even a highlight show on NBC after the game. That's the sickest thing. That's so cool to hear from me as such an aggressive fan. And bear in mind, I'm pretty sure I told you guys on the podcast about my experience watching Overwatch, live and the Overwatch League live and how much fun that was for me. And I don't know if you guys saw the crowd, but it was my crowd times like, oh God, I'm not good at math, but like a lot. It was a massive crowd, and the participation was insane. And apparently the worldwide average viewership was something like 86,000 or something like that, including streaming and TV combined. And I thought that was pretty impressive in and of itself, especially for their first year. You could tell they were taking it super seriously, but I am kind of I'm not concerned. I'm just curious what you guys thought about the experience overall. Like let's just pretend the games didn't happen and just focus on production, because a lot of people are talking about the production value of Overwatch League, and I was wondering what your guys' take on it was, because I'm immensely impressed, and I don't know anything about esports, but this was big and it was cool.
Well, I'll have to tell you, I was really impressed with the commentators,
right?
Because like they had everybody's name like on point, like not only the players that they were playing and switching out, like when they were changing their tactics, they had like the whole roster on, like almost like muscle memory, like they knew who it was. And then on top of that, they knew the team members who were playing the Overwatch characters. So, they were just rattling off names like every second. They were just spitting out and they were animated and they were excited. Like they actually knew what they were talking about, and they had a passion for the game itself. So that made it more interesting. And then the crowd on top of that, when I forget what match it was probably like the second map, and like one of the I forget who was playing Hanzo on the Spitfire team, but he was just lighting people up with his with his attacks, and the crowd was going nuts. And like I was sitting there and I was just laughing on the couch, because like I know I'm not a good Hanzo player, and watching somebody play it at that level, all you could do was laugh when when he was hitting dudes in the head with that arrow. And my wife, who was sitting there, God bless her, was watching me, was watching it with me, trying to like see what the draw was for this
She's
game.
An angel for that, by the way. That's incredible. That's like super open-minded.
And she was just like, she's like, I know you're laughing because this is something that's like crazy, but I just don't understand why. And I was like, well, you kind of have to play that character and understand how infuriating it is to get a good shot off with that guy to understand the level that this guy's playing at.
Exactly.
And you know, so she was just like, "Oh, okay, I get it." And then just to see their tactics on the maps, and to see, you know, how other people attack that, you know, attack those situations, and what characters they use, how they use the abilities. You know, it was interesting. It really kept me going, and I wanted to see that match last longer than it did. I was really kind of disappointed.
Yeah, me
to see it only go
too.
that way, but
So I have to ask, was it, as somebody who, as I don't know how into Overwatch you guys are, but was it confusing at any point in time? Because I do remember trying to listen candidly, and I was like, I wonder if I would understand this if I wasn't like a mega fan, you know?
I understood the language. To me, it was hard to follow the action on screen
Too
because
fast?
they just kind of go to these overhead kind of segments, and you just see so many people run around on screen at once. And for me, it was kind of hard to kind of determine who's who and like what's going
Yeah,
on. And I felt like there's a lot of times where like cool things would happen, but I would miss it because they
yeah,
weren't because they were zoomed in on one player but not another player. You know,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
it's
so
like they have trouble keeping up with the good things that happen, like the exciting things, because they have to be pointing at the right people at the right times, and that makes it kind of difficult. But like Shannon said, the commentators were great. It looked very professional. It felt like a real sport I was watching. I just thought the games were a little hard to follow at times. It was cool when it
Yeah.
focuses on one player and you see cool shit happening. But I feel like there's so much other stuff going on that I'm not really seeing everything. Is kind of my issue.
And for someone like me, I watched probably 5 or 6 matches, and it was one of those things where I don't play Overwatch enough. Like, I honestly just didn't know what was going on. And,
okay, that's what I was wondering.
And it was one of those things where it's like, but I also bet if you stuck someone that knew nothing about football and said, "Hey, watch this football game now, tell me what's going on," they would have no clue. You know, it's just I don't know the rules, so things are just looking kind of crazy. But to Josh's point, I agree. The camera work needs work. They need to come up with an algorithm that lets them follow, you know, action faster. They need to have, for lack of a better word, a, you know, virtual cameraman that is with it, just exists in the game world to film it. Because using player viewpoints was just very confusing, because jumping from player to player to player, and I don't know the character model, so I don't even know what I'm looking at half the time, or like what I would expect
because it's in first person. Yeah,
exactly. So it's just that would be my 2 big critiques.
It's also pretty rough because their sensitivity is turned so far up, like on their mouse. So, you know, the simplest twitch, like they pan like, you know, a full almost 180 degrees. You know, it's just like there were some shots, I forget who it was they were following, but like he was panning so fast for targets that like you couldn't really see what he was shooting at before he was on to the next target. And then they would jump to like the next dude on the team to show what they were doing. They need something like the red zone that they have in football. Like, you know, teams getting close to scoring, they just focus on that game or that play. Should be the same way here. It's like, you know, you got somebody who's like pretty close to getting a kill shot. I know it's kind of it's quicker because like the hit points, like, you know, they get they can be drained pretty fast. But you know, if you had something that was similar to that, where you could see the action, you could see the shots, you could see what's what's crucial to the match going in a team's favor, I think that would be a little bit more of an efficient way to handle the match.
I love that you guys brought that up, because that's actually something that the community as a whole has kind of come together to complain about. And my friend, who is bordering on pro level, and I don't mean that as like a compliment to him, he's legit bordering on pro level. He's big on Dota, and that's a game that has a big esport following. And he says no other esport title does it quite like Dota, in the sense that he was telling me his opinion on how he thinks Overwatch is one of the worst spectator esports he's ever watched. And he says it's Blizzard's fault for not implementing proper like spectating features. He says Overwatch really needs to get like more in-depth in-game spectating, and that viewership and engagement will explode in popularity if they focus on that. And then I don't know, man, he was basically telling me that in Dota you can spectate live games and watch from any viewpoint you choose as a viewer. And there's free cam, there's individual player cam. So let's say you're a huge fan of Prophet, who is popping off on Hanzo. You can watch just him if you so choose. And there's broadcast cameras, and you can even pause and rewind and things along those lines, or just go back to live. And I'm sitting over here like thinking this is hot shit. And I'm realizing that ignorance is bliss. I think it's amazing because I don't have a point of reference. So apparently it can be much better than it currently is. They just need to work out the kinks. So I think, especially hearing it from you guys, from an outsider's perspective, to hear that you guys are complaining about the same thing that people who are really into Overwatch League are complaining about, gives me peace of mind that I think it'll be different next year. Because I want it to be different, because that is my biggest criticism. I get into it, but then I'm watching the kill feed and somebody just got 3 kills and I'm like, why are we watching Widow sniping and doing nothing? Like, what's going on? So I think that change will be made sometime next year, and it'll be a lot more fun. Another thing is, Shannon mentioned in our group chat, like, how many Hammonds are on screen? How many Hamtaros are we seeing playing versus right now? And none. So that's another huge criticism I have, which is the patches aren't in sync with what the current patches are. They're behind. I don't know by how many patches, but we just want Blizzard to finish or figuring out the patch cycles for next season, because there's zero excuse for making pros play on a different patch than the live patch. I don't get that. You know what I mean? Like,
if they buff someone or they debuff someone or something, that could throw their whole strategy off.
That's what happened. That's why it didn't roll, because of the new meta. Like, basically a patch came through, and the team that we all expected to win, which was NYXL, they won statistically with more, wins overall, but they didn't win the grand finals because of what we call a change in the meta. The meta changed and they just got wrecked, and London ended up winning because of it, in my opinion. So
if anything, I could see them making a change where you start and end a season with one version, period. No patch at all.
That's intense.
But the rules are the rules then.
Yeah.
Now you don't get to complain that you lost because of the patch, because everyone played with the same thing the whole season.
I see. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's I hope it goes farther, because I enjoyed watching it. It's just, it was a good time. I don't know, because the London Spitfire, just listening to the finals, that was just the commentator speak. That was like 2 professional Overwatch teams kind of put together, right? Like,
yes, exactly. And that's another thing too. Basically what ended up, in my opinion, they won because they were able to communicate fluently. Philadelphia Fusion is comprised of an Israeli player, a French player, a British, Spanish, Russian, 2 Korean players. How are you supposed to communicate effectively? And you're absolutely right, Shannon. It's 2 teams combined, and all of them speak Korean. So comms are solid, rock solid. So they were at a disadvantage immediately. And I'm bummed for you, because day 1 was sick as hell. They were close. They were delightfully close games. I was screaming. I was like, I'm going to get kicked out. I'm going to get kicked out. And then day 2, I'm sitting and I'm like, yo, I really wish I didn't, because I was worried about authenticity. I was worried all season. I've been worried about sandbagging. Like, are they actually performing to their real true potential? NYXL is known for this. They were sandbagging on purpose. They were losing, and they were, kind of taking calculated notes. And I get it. I get why, but it's tacky and I don't like it. So I was concerned that there would be sandbagging, and then there wasn't. And the game lasted like an hour, 2 hours. And I'm like, man, I set aside my Sunday for this. I bought a great meal, and I'm sitting here and I'm all baked and ready to go. Like, it's over already,
I got this Domino's pizza. I mean, come on, guys.
I didn't even get to finish it. Like,
now you know how every boxing fan feels when they buy a pay-per-view fight.
Oh, yes. That's the worst. When like all your buddies all get together and you all pitch in on the pay-per-view fight, and the fucker gets knocked out in like 30 seconds or something.
Yeah. Unless it's Mayweather, and then he's going to dance around the ring for 10 rounds and not throw one punch.
You will get your money out of Mayweather. That is for true. Yeah, that's for sure.
Oh man, no, it is my first experience with sports, and it's actually pretty similar in a lot of ways to what I've seen, with my dad growing up and watching sports, and like just the yelling, and like, oh, now I understand why he was yelling so much. He's like really into this,
I will say that, just like every other sport, to me, it is much more fun to play it than to watch it.
Sure.
If I was good. No, I like watching pro play because it makes me a better player. I've noticed that.
I think watching baseball is the most boring thing in the world, but I like to play baseball, and it's the same with this. Like, I was bored watching Overwatch League, but I love playing the game.
I don't know, man. I feel like baseball's a special level of boring to watch. That's a special level of boring. God, hey, I'm a fucking
I don't know. I'm with you. Like, right now, like, as far as sports go, like, this is not my time of year for sports. Like, you know, football hasn't started yet. Hockey's not even started yet. And like, I'm not really big into baseball unless I'm going to the game. But you know, I think if the Overwatch League like probably started, you know, maybe a month or two ago and was still going on, I think like I'd be a lot more dedicated to watching it.
If they did like a May to August season type thing.
Yeah, dude, I'd be all over that. Like, let me just give me something to play just give me something to watch during these doldrums, because there's nothing going on in the summer either. Like,
I never thought of that.
The weekend, like, TV sucks. Like, there's not a lot of new video games coming out. Like, I am so bored at my house right now on the weekends when I'm not doing chores. I want to do chores at my house right now. That's how bored I am. Like, give me something to watch on TV. Like, please, just let me sit down on the couch, and zone out for a little bit.
The one thing I will say because this is the first time I've really looked at any of this, was during these finals, and the one thing I will say that I noticed is they have to spend money and hire someone to design professional logos for these teams, because like every single one of them is awful, and it's like put that. Like,
really?
Picture it printed on a 5950 hat or like a trucker hat or something. You're like, yeah, no one would ever wear that because that's a dumbass logo.
Except hella fucking people were buying them when I went. Like, I don't get me wrong, some of those logos suck, but like Outlaws is great. It's like two guns that make a bull's head. I think that's legit. Dallas is boring. Like, what? That's cool, man.
Dude, that Spitfire logo was dookie. Like, I mean,
okay, the Spitfire logo is notoriously bad. You're right. No, and then guys, look up Florida Mayhem. They're known as the McDonald's team, and just look them up and you'll know why, man. Their colors are so ugly, they're actually redoing them next year. So I kind of get what you're saying.
So how much was it to get into this league? I mean, it was an insane amount of money to sponsor a team, right?
It was easily a six-figure amount.
Yeah, like you figure they would have put a little bit more thought into the uniforms.
Man, those colors. Ooh, I feel bad. Plus, my favorite team, Dallas Fuel, has a fat Jack in the Box logo right in the middle of all their jerseys, and I'm like, cool, I'll never buy that. I'll never, ever, ever buy that. Like, that logo's so fat.
Yeah, it's sad that that's like normal now. That like you watch in our lifetime NFL jerseys, MLB jerseys, NBA jerseys already or have ads on them. It's like, you know, at some point it'll just be what
it's happening. It's happening in the UFC too, right?
Oh yeah.
I blame soccer for starting that. Like, I'm looking at you, Robbie. The soccer sucks. Like,
call out.
Yeah, let's put some Emirates logos on our shirts and just run around the field for a while. Like, that's
and now that's your logo.
Yeah,
like
right.
And now that's your brand. That's the logo. Yeah.
No, I completely. I get what you're saying, Zach. Some of them are like pretty janky. Next year, it'll be better.
New York Excelsior. Hey, let's just throw a bunch
flag.
Just get Stanley's face on there, dude. Just call it a day.
Yeah.
That's all we.
By the way, like, Valiant, Excelsior. Like, come on, who named these teams? Like,
I know, dude. So my boyfriend was joking. They should name one of the LA teams the LA Croix. The LaCroix.
Oh boy.
Dude, it took me like 60 solid seconds to get that joke, and then
I laughed. Looking at him, blinking, like
and he's like, "Baby, LaCroix," and I'm like, "Oh fuck, I'm not hipster enough for that joke. I'm sorry."
How much did it cost you to go to one of these games?
$20. $20.
Wow.
It's not going to be that way next season. Right. For real, man. It was an intimate experience. It was very chill. I did not really appreciate being on Twitch. I don't know if you guys go to my Twitter. My new header is me on Twitch, basically smashing my face together to be cute on screen because I was nervous as shit and I didn't know what to do. But if you want to see that, I was like, how do I not hyperventilate? Just be cute. Just be cute. It's your defense mechanism. Go, go, go.
I understand that completely. A little side note here. I know this might take
No, please.
take this a little longer, but Zach will know. At the Shark Tank, during intermissions, they'll have dance contests, and they put you up on the jumbotron. And my wife and I went to a game, and she's like, "I want to be on the jumbotron," and I was like, "Well, the only time to do it is during the dance competition." She was like, "All right." So the first intermission starts, the music starts. I get up. I'm making a fool out of myself. My wife is standing next to me. She's not doing as hard of a job at selling it as I am. The lady in front of us is drunk out of her mind, and she is going full, like she's all about it. So the camera guy,
Mama's going out tonight.
Yeah. So the camera pans over to us, and Maggie gets scared and sits down.
Aww.
And so it's just me. It's just me and this drunk chick.
Solo.
And just soloing it out there. And she sees on the jumbotron that I'm right behind her. Right. So now all of a sudden it is on like Donkey Kong, and I could not get away, dude, because like I am right in the middle of the row. There's no way I'm getting away. My wife is just cowering in the corner behind her. I'm just like, man, I was like, you turn this. This
is like the worst version of a Step Up movie I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
It sounds like you just told me a scene from like a Will Ferrell movie.
Too true, dude. Or like an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where it's just like the end credits rolling. You're like, well.
Except it was like Larry David returning with nachos or something, and the drunk woman starts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's brutal. Anyway.
Oh, dude.
Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. I've had my 15 minutes of shame too.
It was fun. It was a fun experience. I'm absolutely going next year, but it's going to cost at least twice as much, and justifiably so. I'll happily pay $40 compared to $20. They deserve it. That's
not bad. $40 to go to one of those events. I mean, how many matches do they typically have at one of those events? It's not just like one big match, right? It's like
it's 3. So one team against one team, another team against another team, another team against another team, and that's one day. So it's sweet, man. It's perfect. It's exactly what I want. It's just long enough for me to feel like I got my money's worth, and just short enough for me not to freak out too much. So like afterwards, I can go home and like hermit.
Cool.
Because I need that, man. But yeah, that's it for me. I haven't gamed. I'll have something next month or next week. Maybe next month. Shoot, I'm gonna be playing Stardew Valley. The new multiplayer just came out, and I'm excited. So we'll see how that goes next week.
And we never heard from Alaina again.
He's right, you guys. He's right.
Zach, what about you, man?
So I hadn't been playing much, and it's funny that Shannon earlier said the thing about like I don't want to read when I'm in bed type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But on last month's PS Plus free games was Virtue's Last Reward, Zero Escape.
I've heard good things about those.
Yeah, and I loved the heck out of 999.
I bought that game and I still have not played it.
I played it on the original DS, I want to say.
Yeah, that's what I have it on.
But yeah. But yeah, I played 999 on the DS, and if anyone hasn't played these games before, they're essentially puzzle games but they're like visual novel puzzle games. So you're reading a lot, you're getting a lot of details. It's like a more laid back version of Phoenix Wright in a way.
Yeah,
like you kind of need to pick up clues and do things to get out of the room you're in, but the room you're in is a picture with like a person standing in the middle of it that you can interact with. Yeah, so it's a very.
There was a big insurgence of these games, like in the DS era. You notice that, like, and then just kind of died off. Like there's the Professor Layton's, and then there was one called Hotel Dusk that I liked a lot.
Yeah, a lot of them are good too.
Yeah, I love the look of Hotel Dusk. But
I thought that game, just the atmosphere and the mystery of it and everything was really fascinating for me. But yeah, 999, people just gush about that game and its sequels, and so I bought a copy off eBay like about a year ago, and I still have not cracked it open.
It's a great 999 is a great intro into this. So far from what I played, Zero Escape has really smoothed out a lot of the edges of 999, and it's just real simple like story progression type stuff. Where how to get through things a little faster, how to solve some things a little faster. Where 999 was the first iteration, and it's the Bioshock to Bioshock 2. By the time they get to Bioshock Infinite, everything's like totally smoothed out, and it's one of it. So it has that type of like upgraded interface. I would say the game looks really cool. So far, the story has been pretty interesting. Kind of the same deal. Like you get 9 people stuck in a place that I've been kidnapped and stuck in a place, and you're right now. I'm assuming it's a warehouse of some sort, and things are going to happen that you have bracelets on, and these bracelets are going to do bad things to you because you've got a number on your wrist, and it corresponds to certain decisions you need to make and puzzles you got to solve, and you're trying to get out and also figure out how you got there at the same time. And it's really cool. I wish I had spent more time playing with it, but because it was a Vita game and I hadn't turned a Vita on in 2 years, that it took, so I would assume I'd plug it in, go back onto the same Wi-Fi it was 2 years ago, download my free game. Oh no. We got to do. We can't find the Wi-Fi anymore, so now we got to find the Wi-Fi, but it can't use the 5G Wi-Fi for some reason, so it's got to use the normal one. And then once I figured that all out, finally log in to find oh, you've got to do an update, and then an update that needs an update. And so fast forward literally a day and a half later by the time I actually got to start the game. And I was like, this is just the worst. And I'm like, no wonder the Vita's dying. This is the worst experience of my life. It's like, I just want to play the thing. I just play the thing. It was,
it's only going to get worse from here, buddy.
I know. Well, I'm hoping
you get the same problem with the Switch sometimes.
I'm hoping that's what Microsoft's going to start solving with the Scarlet Stream box, if they can do that, where if all that's happening in the back end and I just turn mine on, I'm good.
Yeah. There'll probably be downtime for the game. So at 2 a.m. for an hour, the game will be available while they're patching it or something like that,
You should play 999 though. I want to talk about it with you.
I should do that. I'll have to charge my 3DS if I can find the damn charger for it.
You guys are having the same problem. It's been 3 years.
Exactly.
How many updates are waiting for? Yeah.
Well, the 3DS stays constantly charged because that's what I play Picross on. But I don't think I've legitimately turned on my Vita in 2 years. So,
wow. I would use my Vita a lot for Luminous, but now that I have it on the Switch, even though I like the Vita one better, but now I just play it on Switch. So I don't have.
Convenience is king. Convenience is king.
I even bought one of those PlayStation TV things when that came out. I bought that just so I could play Luminous on my TV.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
well, those got pretty cheap for a while too.
I think I bought for $10. Yeah, it went cheap real fast.
Playing Vita though has made me really want Sony to put out charge $200 for it, a Kindle Fire sized tablet with standard DualShock controls on either side of it, and just let me slave it to my PS4 and play around my house. Just give me that box, because that's the thing with Vita. I love that using the I forget what their term for playing mobily was with it with your home system, but the control setups are all different. The sticks to click in sucked. There's not 2 triggers. There was a whole thing you had to mess with to play anytime you wanted to play a system game versus a Vita game. And so I would totally buy one of those things if they just put it out. I want to play my PS4 in my bed.
It sounds like you want a PlayStation 4 Switch.
Kinda.
Nintendo gotcha, man.
Well, because I do love this. What got me? Just playing whatever I want in bed. And I can have my headphones in. I don't have to keep my wife up doing it. I don't take any grief. She can watch some show if she wants to, and I can still do what I want to do. And I don't have to be sitting in my living room at midnight tired knowing I shouldn't be sitting in my living room, all that type of stuff. So
now that they got that aftermarket dongle for the wireless headphones for the Switch, I'm definitely I definitely want to buy that so I can just crash in bed and play
the cool thing about the Switch is that the Sony Gold headset works on it, the wireless headphones. So you just put a little dongle in on the side. I have a set of those. I mean, obviously you can't use it in handheld mode, but
sure.
But yeah, because I have the same problem. I play games when my kids are in bed, and I always use headphones, so I don't, nothing's loud, and I don't wake them up. And that was the biggest problem with the Switch. I would actually run like headphones onto the dock and then sit close to the dock near the TV so I could have headphones in. So now you can use that little dongle for the PlayStation Gold headset and it works just fine. It works really well. So yeah.
Interesting.
Anything else, Zach?
Just more Lego Jurassic World and more Hungry Shark World because so yeah, that was the big thing this last weekend. I had my old original Xbox One S controller, the white one that I've literally never used because I started using the Elite controller. And
it's hard to go back once you have an Elite.
Yeah. But, a way better controller than I remembered when I picked it up. Because I haven't touched it in forever.
Because I got one with my Xbox One X, like the new redesigned controller, and I use that on my PC. So when I play PC games, I use that one, and I was playing Injustice with it, Justice 2 with it this week, and it is a really nice controller. It's close to the quality of an Elite controller, but not quite there.
Yeah, but so it was this weekend. My son wanted to play by himself, like one plays games, so I was like, well, if you're ready to play by yourself, then you need a controller to play because that old 360 one. It ain't gonna work when you actually want to play the game for real. That's what he's been practicing on. I had an old 360 controller that he would play with when I was playing the game. And so gave him the Xbox One S, and he was just so freaking proud that he had his own controller. Like it was like this total moment for him, and it was the funniest thing. Like it was just so funny.
I love when you posted that on the. Oh, dude, it was such a cute. I was at work and I was kind of having a bad day, and I saw that, and I was like, "Never mind, everything's better."
He asked me to take his picture with his controller. Like he was that proud.
Did he name it yet? How many stickers is he gonna put on it? He's gonna save his favorite dinosaur sticker. I swear to God, I'm calling it. He's gonna put it right in his special like favorite spot, and then he's gonna realize that his hands are gonna make it rub off, and he's gonna learn a powerful life lesson about the efficacy of stickers. It's gonna be a learning.
About how you just shouldn't be involved in the world of stickers. It's only its pain.
Just keep them in a box like I do and say you're going to use them and then never do because I'm 25 and what am I going to use stickers for?
But no, he was so he was playing Jurassic Park World by himself, and I was telling these guys earlier, oh my God, it's the best and most frustrating experience of my life, like watching this 4-year-old navigate this game by himself and like trying to be like, I think you need to go over there. Here? No, over to that path. This path, that's a car. So no.
It's like the video game equivalent of "Are we there yet?"
Oh my God! And then, you just want to grab. Just go to the left. Just go. Push B. Just push B and move on. Like, good Lord. Yeah, just you want to, but.
So was he playing the Lego one or the? Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought he was playing like the Sim one.
No. He was playing the
man. You just ratchet him up to 100 with that one. Jeez.
It's funny though because he wants to play Hungry Shark World too, and Lego Jurassic World is a 3D game. Like you're moving in a 3-dimensional space, and Hungry Shark World is a 2D game, but he's moving freely because he's in water. The character you're controlling, and I'm finding that he has way more trouble with his brain working on a 2D platform where the guy can go anywhere versus like a 3D plane, like navigating it. And it's just interesting to me because I would think it would be the other way with needing 2 hands or 2 thumbs to control the camera and your character in a 3D setting versus just I go to the right, I go up, I go down. But because the guy can just move anywhere, it like freaks him out, I think. I mean, he's like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. It's where it's what so he has like a anxiety to it, which I find kind of fascinating. But so anyway, that's it's just a lot of fun watching him kind of learn how to do it by himself, but also it drives me insane. So.
Nice. So I picked up 2 games this week on the cheap from last year that I wanted to play but didn't for specific reasons. So I got Injustice 2 on PC. I got the Ultimate edition of it, and then I bought Middle-earth: Shadow of War. So I'll start with Injustice 2 because the reason why I didn't buy that game at launch was for 2 reasons. One of them, I knew there's going to be a bunch of DLC characters, and I would rather just wait for an edition where all of them are in one package, especially with those Ninja Turtles in there.
Smart.
So I was just held off for that. Also, that game came out the same time Tekken 7 came out, and I remember on our old podcast, Robbie got Injustice because he's a massive superhero fan, and I got Tekken because I just haven't played a Tekken game in years, and that just seemed more interesting to me then. So I skipped out on Injustice and I played Tekken 7 instead. So I got this Ultimate Edition of the game on PC and started playing it, and I had a hell of a time getting this thing to work right on my PC. The game, for some reason, kept wanting to launch in 4K, and I don't have a 4K monitor, so it was just garbled up on the screen, and it was running horribly slow, and I couldn't get through the menus in a speedy way, and just to try to fix it, and it was really, really bad. And then once I actually did fix it, the first thing I did was I just went to quick play. Like, I just want to go into a fight and just test the game out and see what it's like, right? So I go into quick play, and it took like 5 minutes to load up a match on the game on my PC. I'm like, what is going on here? This is not right. This should not be this way. And I started to do some research online, and I found out that I guess there's a bug with the PC version where every time there's a patch or something gets updated, you have to verify the file integrity in Steam. And what that is it goes through all the files for the game and then makes sure everything's correct. And if there's any inaccuracies in the files, it will re-download those files for you to fix it. And I ran that and then launched the game again, and all of a sudden everything was perfect. The game ran as it should. It was 60 frames per second, all the whole shebang. So thankfully I got past that. But man, this was not an easy game to get into and play when I first got it downloaded and played it. I will say that the game is pretty good. It is Mortal Kombat with superheroes. I mean, it's just like the first Injustice.
It's the same engine, right?
It's the same engine.
One, yeah.
Yes. This game is just like the Mortal Kombat 9 game. Mortal Kombat 9 was one of my favorite games from last gen. I love that game to death. And I love that formula with the story mode and everything. I thought the story mode was one of the best things I've ever played in a fighting game for a single player feature. The Mortal Kombat X is the same way. The story works the exact same way, how it just kind of progresses. Like, it will introduce one character, you have like 3 or 4 fights with that character, and then the story continues and introduces another one, and you do 3 or 4 fights with that character, and then so on and so forth. This game is no different, and it's just like the first Injustice. The story and then the progression of the story and how everything works is exactly the same. So you're just kind of getting more of the same with this game. But one thing I noticed is that this is one of the best looking games I've played this generation. And the reason why is not only because the backgrounds and the levels are so detailed and the character models look so good, but the facial animation in this game is astounding. It kind of reminds me of LA Noire at a time, but LA Noire had still had that sort of uncanny valley feeling to it when they were talking. Like, it looked impressive, but it still looked fake. Like there was something not right about it.
It was the eyes in LA Noire. Yeah.
Yeah, this game has that feeling, but but without the uncanny valley thing. I mean, obviously, they still don't look like 100% real people, but the facial animations in this game are incredibly impressive. And NetherRealm Studios was always really bad with female character models, especially female faces. Like their character models for females always look really stupid. This game, like, the females look better than the males, and so they actually got it backwards this time. And but the game is incredible looking, and it's super fluid and fast. The only thing that sucks is that when the fights are very cutscene heavy, and like they'll have little cutscenes that'll happen in the middle of the matches and stuff, and you can trigger things that'll happen. And those cutscenes drop to 30 frames per second, and it does it on the console version too.
Is that super jarring?
It is kind of jarring, yeah. So all of a sudden you got this blazing fast 60 frames per second fighting gameplay, and then you'll trigger a cutscene with like a special move or something, and it goes into 30 frames per second. And it's just like, like you notice it, like it's kind of glaring.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one complaint I kind of have about the game. That does have loot boxes and microtransactions and stuff. They don't seem like they're too intrusive. Most of them are just like pieces of armor that you can get, and you can customize the characters in the game, and they'll give you like stat boosts and stuff. But if you go online, I'm pretty sure that those buffs are taken off, so you don't have an advantage over another player when you're playing online. So that's kind of cool. I'm not really.
That would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense though.
I'm not gonna really play it online anyways. But the cool thing is I have a really nice Xbox 360 arcade stick, and I can play this game with that on PC since it's.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool. Yeah.
So that's really cool. I get some use out of that thing. But I'm assuming the story mode is probably going to be about 4 hours like the other ones are. So this will be a quick playthrough. And there's a lot of single player content thrown in here and a lot of really cool stuff that I haven't even dug into yet. But man, I got to tell you guys, the Ninja Turtles, why is no one making the Ninja Turtles look like this in other Ninja Turtle properties? Like they fucking nailed the way the Ninja Turtles look in this game.
I forgot they were in there.
Wait, what's the appeal? What's so great?
They just look they just look like you would expect them from the 80s. Like they look perfect.
So they're like they're the more edgy like type of turtles, right? They're not like the cartoony ones.
They have the same sort of art design from the like Ninja Turtle movies, like the old ones, not the new ones.
Okay.
And they look like how I remember the Ninja Turtles being when I was a kid. And they look
yeah, they look really they look good, man. This is sick.
The animations are great. Like you play as Leonardo, but there's certain moves that you do that where the other Ninja Turtles just kind of run in the background and kind of like jump into the middle of the combo with you. And so like you're kind of playing as all four of them at once, but it's kind of cool. And I think there might be a way where you can actually switch where you're not Leonardo as the main one too, but I haven't figured it out yet. But man, it's incredibly cool to play as the Ninja Turtles in this game. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted this game, because I just wanted to play as Ninja Turtles.
You know, Leonardo leads, but Donatello does machines.
No, let's not get into that again, okay? We all know Michelangelo is the best one, so
let's do it. Let's fight.
Raphael is cool but rude. Michelangelo's a party dude.
Dude. Oh my god.
I figured out what we're gonna be for Halloween. I figured it out.
I'm Raphael. He's the best one.
Yeah, the least liked Ninja Turtle. Of course, that's the one you choose.
I'm the pizza bitch. I'm gonna be the pizza bitch. That's Michelangelo, right?
Yeah, I'll take Donatello. I'm happy with that.
He's usually the smart one.
Yeah. Oh, what are you saying? I'm not smart? Is that what you're
saying? I'm saying that's a perfect fit for you, Shannon. Cannon deserves the smartest one.
Fired.
But they have Hellboy in here too. He plays like shit. Like I do not like playing as him, but he looks really cool. So
it's just like the movies.
Yeah, I like the movies, but
yeah, they look really cool, but man, they play like shit.
But there's a lot of there's some characters that are kind of strangely omitted. Like there's no like Nightwing and stuff in there, which kind of sucks. But the game's a lot of fun, and I'm definitely looking forward to skimming through that the single player story mode is the story's not like super great or anything, and some of it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I'm sure if you're a big DC fan, it probably makes more sense to you than it does to me. But it's good enough to me.
I'm so happy Robbie's not on this one, because man, we'd be here for like 5 more hours while he gave us the detailed background of fucking Blue Beetle or whoever.
Blue Beetle's in this game too.
Yeah, of course he is.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. So that's Injustice 2. I'll give you guys more updates on it as I play it more. But the other game that I got, which has sucked me in a lot more and kind of took me away from Injustice 2, is Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Now, this game...
Oh, I didn't know you were playing that.
Yeah, I picked it up. I picked it up. So this game came out last year, and it was a huge release. I played through Shadow of Mordor like 3 months before this game came out. So when the game dropped, I kind of had fatigue with it. Like I didn't really have the feeling like I wanted to play it right now because I just finished the first one. And those microtransactions really turned me off. Apparently they were big deep into that game, like really deep into it. And the game caught a lot of flack for that. So they just dropped an update, a really, really, really big update for the game last week, where they stripped out all the microtransactions in the game. I mean, they pulled it out by the roots and got everything out of there, and they rebalanced the entire game to work without the microtransactions, which is awesome, and they should have done that from the start, but it took them almost a year later to finally make that happen. And they're going to re-release the game. Like there's like a definitive edition packaging coming out to kind of go alongside this like kind of reworked version of Shadow of War. And so now so you can get the game so cheap. I got a code for the Xbox and PC like Play Anywhere version for $20. So digital. So I'm like, yeah, that works for me. $20 is about what I was expecting to pay for this, to give it a chance. And so I'm playing it on an Xbox One X. It looks gorgeous, by the way. So I've got about maybe 3 or 4 hours into it. I played a bunch of it last night, and this game is pretty much more of the same from the first game. That's not necessarily a bad thing. The first game was very addictive to me. I really got into that game, and this game is very much more of the same. There are some moves and some added stuff that they put in there that makes the combat and the traversal a little more interesting. Like they added this like double jump, so like when you're running and jumping off of like a ledge or something, you can like hit the A button mid-air and it'll do like a double jump and it'll kind of catapult you out further. So it makes it easier for you to kind of get farther distances faster. I really like that. I don't think I could go back to the first game after having that ability now. The combat is very much the same. Some of the moves that you really come accustomed to with the first game, they kind of give you from the start. There's some of them that you get back that you have to earn again, which kind of sucks, but there's also some brand new ones too that try to kind of change things up. The game, one of the big problems and criticisms with this game is that they made the game very lengthy and grindy and padded to get people to pay for more microtransactions. It's like, okay, this so much grinding and padding in this game going on that I'm going to drop some money on these microtransactions to try to speed this up a bit. And apparently, now I don't have any way to compare it to the original release because I didn't play that one. But from what I've heard, they took like a 60-hour game and kind of chopped it down to about 40 by pulling out the microtransactions. And I've been told that you level up a lot faster. And I have noticed that I've been getting a lot of upgrades and levels much quicker than people were telling me they originally did. I'm making pretty quick progress through the game. They have difficulty levels now. So if you were someone who found the game like frustrating at first until you got those certain power-ups that made the game trivial at that point, you can play with the difficulty levels at any time you want just by pausing the game, which is really nice addition. The funny thing is that the microtransactions, they were in this whole like shop, like this merchant shop, and they had this character that was there. He was like the shopkeeper or whatever, and he had this whole big personality, and he was voice acted and animated and everything. They just pulled that motherfucker out of the game and just tossed him aside. Like they just dragged him into the recycle bin. Like he's just gone from this game now. So they put all that time and effort and paid voice actors and shit for that character to be the face and the voice of the microtransaction store, and they just ripped his ass right out of there, and he's not even in the game anymore. It's pretty funny. But they replaced it with a menu called the Garrison now. So if you earned any loot boxes in the middle of the game before this patch kicked in, like those will still be available for you. And you can earn loot boxes by completing certain challenges in game, and they usually unlock orcs that you can equip into your army to make your army more powerful and stuff. Gotcha. So you're still getting loot boxes, but you're getting them with either in-game currency or completing challenges. You're not being forced to purchase them with money anymore. They're not bugging you to buy that shit anymore, which is really cool. So I've got pretty deep into this game again. Like that feeling, that kind of hook that it got in me with the first game has very much got me here. I don't know if this game, because I've still heard there's still padding and stuff to kind of lengthen the game here, even though the microtransactions aren't there to try to entice you to get through it faster. But I'm not sure how long this game will hold my interest. Hopefully, like it'll reach. I'll reach it through the end because I am enjoying the game so much. It's still very much addictive, just as much as the first one was. I did notice that they threw in a lot more captains in this game. So like I'm running into those fuckers like constantly, like they're everywhere. And sometimes I'll run into 3 or 4 of them at once. And they do the same thing the first game does too, to where like you hit one and it goes into that like cutscene where they like throw some monologue at you, like, "Oh, Dark Walker, I've been waiting for you. You know, I've been dreaming of this moment." They start going into this long dialogue, and it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Let's just fight. You know, they do that in this game as well. And this one guy was monologuing for like minutes, and I was like, oh my god, let's just go at it, dude. Let's just do this. You know, can I skip it? And I'm hitting buttons and it won't let me skip it. It sucks. Like they still do that in this game. Like they need to have a skip button for those, because I don't need to hear what every fucking orc wants to tell me once we clash swords.
Especially when it's happening like every 5 minutes, literally.
Yeah. And this game has a lot more like they really beefed up the nemesis system, and there's a lot more of those dudes roaming around. And there was one point where I had like 3 of them. Like I finally got through a monologue, so I'm like, all right, so I'm starting like my combos and trying to attack this guy. Then another dude walks up and then starts another one on me in the middle of that fight. It's like, geez, guys, come on. So yeah, I mean that's kind of an annoyance, but I do very much like the game. And they get you into it faster, and it's not as it doesn't drag on in the beginning as much as the first one did. Like they just kind of really drop you in, and you're just right into it. It seems like it's less open as the first one was, because the first one had 2 big sort of open worlds in it. This one has 5 smaller ones that you kind of jump around from. But I got that feeling to where like when I'm in one, I don't want to leave it and go to another one until I've done like 100% everything I can. So I kind of get hooked in that little area, and I don't want to leave it until I've done everything I can. But yeah, I'm very much enjoying the game. I hope it stays that way. This is the game I want to play when I get home from work. So it's the one that's really caught my attention the most, and I'm surprised about that. And yeah, I hopefully I'll see it to the end. But I'm digging it so far. And if you guys, if this is a game that you did not want to play because of the microtransactions and the bad things you heard about it, and now might be a good time for you to check it out. And you can usually get it pretty cheap.
Yeah, I liked the game when I played it initially, but the one thing that frustrated me about it was the army, building your own army. Because but you know, like I said, I did play it when the microtransactions were still live, and they wanted to kind of guide you in the path to buy the garrison for you, or to buy the I guess the people for your army. So initially the people that you were grabbing were like cannon fodder. I mean, like they were nothing. Like you would send them out to do stuff and they would get slaughtered, they would lose, they were constantly getting their ass kicked. And it was really frustrating because you would spend all this time building up your army with people that you thought were like decent enough to go out and do the stuff that you need them to do. And then they all get like wiped out. And then you gotta start all over again, like building up your army. And then while you're trying to build up your army, you're hitting those captains that you're talking about. Or like you have that nemesis system where like some of the stronger captains are actually hunting you while you're hunting something else. And it just became frustrating, like at that point where I was just I wasn't motivated at all to want to proceed in that game. Like I almost was at the point where I was just like, screw my army, screw my military. Like I just want to play solo and just try to get through as much of this game as possible, like just by myself. Like, so
was that impossible to do?
I don't know, because I gave up shortly after that.
Oh,
like, I forget what else came on. I forget what else came along. But
that point in the game, I haven't hit that yet, because you don't hit that until chapter 2 or act 2, I guess. And I'm still in act 1, and the acts in this game are very long. I think there's 4 or 5 of them. So I mean that tells you how long they are right there. If I'm still in act 1 and this stuff's in act 2, but yeah, because I tried to play around with some of that stuff. Like I already had loot boxes and stuff, and it told me that you can't do any of this shit until you get to act 2. So I'm probably pretty close to act 2 at this point. So yeah, that side of the game I haven't seen yet. It looks cool, and the game is in a much larger scale than the first one was. Like it's really cool how like you're just kind of roaming around the little open world they have you in, and the entire open world is just like a big fucking battle. And all that stuff's really cool. But yeah, I haven't played around with any of that yet, so I'm not sure how it's changed or how it is now in the new version of the game.
I think the version Shannon played is the reason the new version exists, for the simple fact that it sounds like everyone I've talked to about this game hit that point Shannon did, where all of a sudden it ramps up, your military's dying left and right, you don't really know how to proceed. And instead of going to that store and going, hey, how about I spend some money on some loot boxes and upgrades? to get through this game, everyone did the same thing Shannon did, which is, yeah, this game sucks. I'm not playing it anymore. And hey, you don't play this game because it sucks. And it's like, oh, wait, hold on. That was not what we expected everyone to do. Like, whoops.
It kind of backfired on them. Yeah,
totally.
So I'll hopefully by next week I'll hit that moment and I can maybe comment on that a bit more. Obviously, again, I can't compare it to the original release because I didn't play it, but hopefully Shannon will, kind of understand what's going on. He can give me the okay if it's actually an improvement or not. But but Shannon, do you still own the game?
Yeah, I bought it digitally, and it was one of those purchases I wish I didn't.
I wonder if you go back into it and update it to the latest version and try again, if you'd have better luck. Like,
it's worth it. I mean, it's worth it, but like, it's like now I have to get used to the controls again. Like I can't.
Yeah, that game's got some goofy controls too. Like
Yeah,
it doesn't play like any game out there you're used to.
And there's a lot of technique and timing. Oops, go ahead.
I was going to say, I tell you that same thing has kept me from starting The Witcher again so many times, where I would boot my save back up, play for about a half hour, and realize I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I don't know how to, like, any of this works. I forget all the buttons. I don't know the story. And it's like the thing I want to do is just restart the game. But at the same time, I've put like 20 hours into that game, and so I don't want to just drop it. It's killing me. So I end up just not playing it, is what happens. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so I'll report more on that next week. But so far, I'm enjoying the game. It's fun. It's more Shadow of Mordor, and that's cool with me. That game was a lot of fun. So, all right, let's move on to our weekend review. Zach, hit it off, man. You got anything interesting going on?
Nothing really. I was solo with the kids for a couple days there. And one of the nights, my son went to go stay at his grandma's house for the night. And so we took him to soccer, then she picked him up around 1. And so it was just me and my daughter from 1 o'clock in the afternoon till about 9 o'clock the next morning. And oh my God. And I apologize if someone just had their first child and they're going through it right now. You're not wrong. I totally get where you're coming from. I was you. But holy crap, only having one kid is so easy. Like, it was just one of those. Yeah, it was just one of those things where, like, 2 hours after my son had left, I was just like, I still know where she is. I know exactly what she's doing. I know when she's been fed because I wasn't distracted with feeding the other one. Like, it was just one of those, like, everything's great. This is so easy. This is so cool. And it was just funny to me how, because when you have that first kid, as Josh will tell you, as Shannon will tell you, as many other people will tell you, that first couple months, man, you just are so overwhelmed. You have no idea what you're doing.
It's kind of scary. Yeah.
Oh, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. And
like I had the constant feeling that my kid was going to die, like during that time. It's like
petrifying.
It's like, this thing needs me in order to survive. What if I fuck up? You had that feeling the whole time.
And I know me. I'm horrible. So good Lord,
take care of myself.
Yeah, exactly. But so just reflecting on that and going to where I have a top, my daughter's 15 months old. She's not even walking fully yet. She's getting to just say sentences, basic sentences and stuff like that. And so I'm at that point, like, this is the easiest thing I've ever done. Oh my God. This is so relaxing. Just the one toddler. And so, like, to go from where I was to now is it's amazing. And so that was just all I had to reflect on.
All right. Nice. Cool beans. So for me, first and foremost, I'm super excited because I got a green Joy-Con.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, buddy. And I didn't have to spend $80 to get a fucking pink one with it. So yeah, I was browsing. I was on GameStop's website because I was looking to see if they had the pre-orders for the one with the D-pad that's coming out, with like no rumble and shit. Because I think that might be. Yeah, the hoary one. I think that would be kind of nice to have. The whorish one. I thought that thing would be nice to have for like Luminous and stuff like that. Even though the vibration is missing.
Joy-Con,
it seems like it would be. It's one of those products that I'm kind of weird about, but I kind of want one at the same time, and they're cheap. So I was looking to see if they had them like for for order or something. And I was thinking if anyone was selling them yet, because I wanted to see what colors that were available. Because the ones that they showed off were horrible looking. That Zelda one and that Mario one.
I've only ever seen them in that blue.
Yeah,
but,
the blue one I'd be okay with. So
Mhm.
my left one right now is the blue one. So I'm okay with that. And I was just looking to see if they had them. So I was just looking up Joy-Cons like on GameStop's website, and all of a sudden I saw a single green Joy-Con pop up for $35. I'm like, ooh, I can buy a single one through them because you can't buy those singly at all. So I looked it up, and there was a store that was about 40 minutes away from me, but about 20 minutes away from my work that actually had one in stock. So I called them, and I'm like, hey, guys, do you actually have a green Joy-Con used in stock? And they're like, yeah, totally. I'm like, hold that bitch for me. I'm on my way. So I drove down there after work, and they held it for me. And sure enough, and man, it is like the perfect color of green, too.
It looked really cool.
Yeah.
I saw it on the, oh man, lucky.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of buying a Joy-Con for $80, and I'm just sitting here looking at my fucking prostitute of a controller, like, you whore, just throwing her on the bed and shit. Like, I've combined. I've gendered them now. I'm calling this one her anyway. So I put her with my other black one, and I've got that combo going. And then because they accidentally paired with each other, so now they've got. Yeah, now I've got a blue one and a black one and a pink one and a black one. And I'm like, okay, this works. Like, I got to make the best of it. You're lucky, Josh, man. I'm dumb. I should have put some thought into this.
Yeah, and it sucks too because I want the left Joy-Con in green now. Like, I want both of them. But in America, the only way you can get the two green Joy-Cons is if you buy the Splatoon bundle Switch, where the left one is green and the right one is pink. And then you go buy the $80 set where the left one is pink and the right one is green. So you literally have to buy.
Weird.
Not worth.
So you'd have to buy that the $80 bundle. I mean, the $80 pack, and then like the $350 bundle with Splatoon in order for you to get two green Joy-Cons.
Do you think that's done intentionally? Probably.
Probably. and that's a big thing for me. Like, I think the colors of these Joy-Cons are something that Nintendo has really fucked up on, because a lot of people really want to customize the colors of their Switch. So why are you guys not releasing more colors of Joy-Cons? Like, I think these would sell. Like, if I could get like a green one and an orange one, like, that'd be fucking awesome. That'd be perfect, because those are my two favorite colors. But yeah, I mean, why can't I buy a left green Joy-Con? Why can't I buy the right green Joy-Con? I had to get it used.
Nintendo. It's
you know, it's a mess. So I really want. So I'm hoping someone will trade in a left one at some point, and I'll get lucky. So I've been staying close attention to GameStop's website.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm on Walmart right now.
Yeah.
At Walmart.com, and they have a pink green package where the left one is green.
Really?
Just say it. Yeah, it's $79.
Hold on.
I'm gonna look this up. I'm gonna look it up. So
we're all on Google right now, y'all.
Yeah.
I was on Google earlier for TMNT, wanting to be Donatello.
I was gonna say, Josh,
like,
what other colors do you have in your Joy-Cons?
I just have the red and blue ones that it came with, and then I have the one green one. Yeah, I see what you're talking about, exactly. It's sold by a different distributor. I wonder if these are the Japanese ones.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Just
saying. Left.
They're there.
But I don't want the pink one.
Like, y'all are shopping in the middle of the podcast.
Yeah.
It makes for great radio. Us just doing our
I'll look up the coupon codes. Give me a sec.
Yeah. You got that honey installed, or what? What are we working with?
All I'm saying is I bought the pink and the green ones, standalones, for some Mario Kart Madness at our house.
Yeah.
And I think if it's the left one, I wouldn't mind trading you one of the left ones that you have straight across.
Oh my God, we're doing
I would totally do that.
Cards. This is dope as hell.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about I don't care about the green one, and my wife only cares about the pink one. So
then you get a set of pink if you did that, right?
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, Josh doesn't know the pink one. Sorry.
Yeah. I would give you, if you really do have a left green Joy-Con, I would give you a left blue one.
That's fair. I'll take that.
All right.
Let me see what I have.
If that's the case.
Shake on webcam.
Check the inventory. Check the inventory. See what you got.
I just want to say I think the yellow ones are dope.
Yeah, they are cool. If I could have got one of those used, I would have bought one of those too. Like, to go along with the green one.
They'd be cool if they were Pikachu's. Just gonna throw that out there.
Little Pikachu's on there.
I'm just,
Yeah.
Maybe for that special edition Pokemon Go Switch that you know is coming out.
Absolutely. All right, so I had a super cool ghost story I was going to tell you guys, but I'm actually going to save it for next week.
Wait,
Nice.
Oh, what?
Yeah. We're running too long, man. It's going to be a long story.
All right.
So that's a teaser. That's a teaser.
Next week in review. Next week in review, everyone come with a ghost story.
Oh, I got a good one.
Oh, I already told my ghost story. Dude, fuck, do I have another ghost story?
That's actually a very cool idea. Like, we'll all
do I have another ghost story?
Okay,
I got a bunch.
Yeah,
right, so you
got a week to think about it, Alaina.
Yeah, just as a teaser, I don't believe in ghosts, but something happened that made me go, So we'll go next. We'll go next week. So Shannon, what do you got, man?
Nothing really. It was I got back into. I'm getting back into more anime now. So Dragon Ball has always been a favorite of mine, but I found that Toonami finally started putting out season 2 of Attack on Titan. So I'm finally starting to watch that. And My Hero Academia, I'm starting to watch that and get on that too. So I've just been watching a lot of that in my downtime. As far as anything else for the week, I really don't have anything. I guess I would pose just a funny question to you guys. If you could, I just want to know, like, what is your weirdest snack food in general that you your guilty pleasure of snack foods that you like to
Wait, are you talking about a product that's weird or just some kind of weird
anything
food that we like to
I mean, if you like pickles and peanut butter, like, I mean, like, just throw it out there. I just want to know, like, what's the weirdest like snack food.
All right, no, Zach, you want to go ahead?
No, I was saying, lay it on me. What do you got?
All right. So my favorite, and this is lame, but it's something that's become so much of a habit that I told myself for New Year's I would stop doing it because of how frequently I was doing it.
You eat your boogers.
No. No, it's so I don't know if you guys know about the $2 bag of hot fries, but if anybody in the world follows me on Twitter, they will know how much I love hot fries, hot Cheeto fries. And when I first started eating them, I couldn't handle the level of spice. I had to acclimate to it because I was being a little fuck a baby about it. And I would have to drink it every single time with like the fattest glass of milk. And I remember at one point somebody, I don't remember who, commenting, they're like, "Oh, dude, really?" And I was like, "What? Is this weird? Is this weird?" And I was like, that's all I got. But now I can do it without milk. I'm just like, I don't need it.
I don't have any weird thing like that. I guess like the weirdest thing I could think of is like bread and butter pickles in a jar. I'll just eat those with a fork. That's about it. Like I don't like to eat them with a sandwich. I just like to eat them by themselves. So there's that. That's the weirdest thing I think of.
I gotta cut them into slices, or else I can't do it.
Yeah. That's all I can think of.
Let's see. I don't know about weird per se, but like my biggest guilty pleasure as of late has been pork rinds.
Pork rinds are good unless you get the ones that are rock hard.
Yeah, but if you go to like some good Mexican supermarkets around where me, Shannon, and Alaina live, you can get the like authentically made chicharrones, and good
for
Lord.
A treat. Yeah.
Oh man, they're just so good, and it's one of those things like you literally feel your arteries harden,
and it's so bad for you too. But
yeah,
it's
so bad for you. But God damn it, they're
gotta
so
do
good.
it. Well,
I know.
What about you, Shannon? Like,
I kind of want to go get some now. Like,
right? Dude, I want hot fries now, man. What the hell? Why'd you do this?
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I just thought of it on the whim, but I would probably say like I'm when it comes to sitting down and watching TV, I'm big on efficiency. I don't like having to keep getting up to like handle stuff, and I hate crumbs. So and I don't like peanut butter and jelly, but I do love a peanut butter and honey sandwich.
Ooh,
that's pretty normal.
That's nice.
But
it's kind of quirky, I guess. Yeah.
What I found recently is that like I hate crumbs, so like I'll just buy a tortilla and then just put the peanut butter and the honey in the tortilla.
What?
And I also like to eat like Doritos with it, so I just smash a whole bunch of Doritos in there too and just roll the whole thing up. And
wait a minute, hold on, rewind, hold on, wait a minute, wait. So you take a tortilla and you put, hold on, I'm gonna run you through. Hold on, you take a tortilla and you smear it with peanut butter and then honey, and then then you crumb up fucking Doritos and you put it in there and you roll it and you eat
I'm coining the term for this now. That is a white trash burrito.
That is the dopest, weirdest shit I've heard all day. Like, authentically, truly, my friend.
It reminds me of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I was watching that show the other day, and the dude made a burrito with a fruit roll-up and put a bunch of gummy bears in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know. This tortilla peanut butter Dorito combo sounds like you're waiting. No, it sounds like you're waiting for your check to show up on the first of the month. You're just eating whatever you got left.
I got this. I found this. These are expired, actually, but
we still have a jar of peanut butter back here. All right.
Next thing you know, he's going to be putting the toaster upside down, shaking the crumbs out of that and putting it in there too.
Oh my god!
That you definitely took the crown for weird food. Buddy.
Yeah.
Jeez. I'd be concerned if I sat and watched my spouse eat something like that. I'd be like, what is going on in your head? You created that concoction of madness.
That's usually why I eat it by myself after everybody's done.
You just don't want your kids looking at you.
Don't judge me.
Kids in like a swing, like staring at you, like, what the fuck, Dad?
Oh man.
He like walks in the room. He's like, and my life is different now. I don't know. He walks back into his room. He just turns away without a word.
What's worse is the only thing is when the only thing you have to wash it down with is orange juice. I mean, that is just the worst.
Dude, you're getting like savage over here.
No, I've only done it once, and I vowed I'd never do it again. It's just too crazy. But yeah, it's gross.
It's like, have you ever had a beer right after you brush your teeth?
Yeah,
it's
or
like
drink.
Why would you drink beer after you brush your teeth?
Why would you drink orange juice after you brush your teeth? But people still do it. Like,
because I'm in Vegas and I brush my teeth and then get handed a beer. Like, it's just not.
Like, excuse me. Well.
Vegas, you're just constantly drunk. Like you just got to brush your teeth so like you don't stink. Like you have to control your stink level, right? I mean, like you can have the alcohol sweats, but you can't have bad breath with alcohol sweats.
I've never been on a beer binge like that. I can't say.
Yeah, apparently I'm not having fun like you guys are.
Booze sweats, man.
Yeah, that's rough.
Like y'all are looking at this like nostalgically. What are you doing? You're like, oh yeah, beers.
When you're like poolside the next day and a breeze comes through and you catch a whiff of yourself and you're just like,
come on.
You're like, that's just that's just solid whiskey. Jesus.
Jesus
God.
It's coming out of my pores.
All right, Alaina, what do you got for us? Take us home here.
No,
Big L's.
This is my week in review. I ain't got nothing to say. Like, this is too much. No, I don't have much going on. Like, I think it's the same. I think we're all just kind of in the summer, like, days of things and enjoying it as best we can, despite the heat and the commute and the work and all that shit. Like, you just got to take the good with the bad is all. Like, and this is why I enjoy, like, moments like this so much, because it's like, man, I needed this. Right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone's not like doing summer shit, like going to like festivals and like going to the pool and shit. And I'm just like, no, I just want to stay home.
Yeah,
I just want to sit here and watch TV. You know, like
I want to play video games. I don't have as much time as I used to. I just got a promotion and like I don't have any free time anymore. And it's great because I'm making more money. Yay!
Whoa! So what do you like CEO of something?
Nah, I'm just like I'm helping run that company essentially. I won't get too into it, but I'm just working more, so I'm getting paid more.
Are you wearing a pantsuit?
I'm getting close.
If you got the pantsuit, that means you made it.
I'm secretly gonna love that pantsuit. I know it. I always watch like Leslie Knope. I'm gonna be like, man, you're a fucking baller. You do you, Leslie.
Yeah.
Get you some pants.
Yeah, I need that pantsuit in my life. But no, I've been, that's cool and all, but I don't have as much time to play video games. So it's like, just enjoy the moments you have is all I'm saying. You know?
I've been finding that when I actually have free time, I just veg out on the computer on YouTube more than I do anything.
Yep.
Hey man, leisure is leisure.
The amount of times where I have like, oh, I've got an hour or two, I should totally play X, Y, or Z, and next thing I know, I've been looking at Twitter for 45 minutes and burned up almost
That's how
all
you
my
know they
time,
got you.
and it's like, yep, all right, never mind, I ain't playing anything.
Yep, I'll be on YouTube and like there'll be something interesting, and then all of a sudden at the side it'll be like, "What happened to Valerie Bertinelli? What?" And I have to click on that, and then I just get lost in all kinds of shit that I didn't even care to like.
Going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like YouTube is terrible for that, but Yeah, there's so much clickbait on YouTube that just kind of sucks you in. Like, oh, I got to know what happened there. You know, like this guy had an affair with someone. I'm like, oh, that's scandalous, motherfucker. Let's go find out what happened. You know, and I click on it, and then like they don't even talk about it. And they're like, oh, you got me again, you clickbait bastard.
3 days later.
Yeah. So YouTube's it's a bad one for me.
Oh man, just whatever you want to do, as long as you're doing it.
Yep. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and get out of here for this week. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter at @ThatPixelLife and join that Facebook group as well and come talk games with us. Also, don't forget to drop an iTunes review for us as well if you guys don't mind. If you're Apple people, we would greatly appreciate it. And make sure you can always get some requests our way. If you guys have a topic you want us to talk about, if you have some feedback you want to give us, you can shoot that over to the support at pixellife.com, or you can go to Twitter or Facebook and bring it to our attention, and we'll check it out and give you our input on it. Also, don't forget to spread the love. If you have friends that like gaming and talking about random bullshit like we do, throw the podcast their way, see if they like it, and hopefully we'll get some more followers as well that way. So thank you guys once again for tuning in. Thank you guys for being here with me and talking games again this week. And anyone have any parting words they want to throw out there?
Don't be too aggressive with your shoulder pads when you buy your pants shoot. You know, keep the shoulder pads low.
Yeah, you got to keep that minimum size just right, and gotta keep those shoulders sharp, y'all.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Have an awesome weekend. See you next time.
Bye, guys. Have a good one.